Math with RHB, and we are doing we're doing lesson 8, division of decimal numbers, and we've got 4 examples. Okay, so there's 4 different parts to this. This is where it gets complex, and you end up with having a lot of problems if you don't have a really good grasp of how to do what. Oh, turn this on. Okay. So the division of decimals. First example, you've got decimals in the dividend only. This is where the terminology starts to come in. Alright, so if you have decimals in the dividend only, there's your divisor. Alright, your dividend's here. Alright, all you have to do is place the decimal in the quotient area and divide like usual. So that, place that up. That's it. How many 7s in 4? Well, there isn't any. How many 7s in 49? You have 7. You get 0, bring down the 5. How many 7s in 5? Well, there isn't any. And so you put a 0. How many 7s in 56? There's 8. Alright, so it's not too hard once you realize that if you have your decimal in just the dividend only, you place it up into the quotient area and then you solve it like usual. Now you come to example 2. This is decimals in the divisor and or the dividend. It could be in both, it could be in just one. So I made the example so that you have the divisor in both. Sorry, the decimal in both. So when you do that, I'm going to move this up and over. Alright, you end up with 8.3 divided into 21.58. So divisor, dividend. Right? In this case, you cannot divide numbers unless you have no decimals. Now, calculator will do it automatically for you, but if you're doing it paper and pencil, right, you need to understand how it works. Right? The decimal in the divisor can't stay there. So it has to move. So you have to move it to the right until you eventually make your divisor a whole number. So if there was 2 numbers, you'd move it 2 places. If there was 3 numbers after the decimal, you'd be moving it 3 places. Which is definitely calculator work, but you have to understand how to do it. So, alright, if you move the decimal to the right until the divisor is a whole number, right? Whatever you do to one part of your question, you have to do the same to the other part. So if you've moved the decimal 1 place in your divisor, you'll have to do the same in the dividend, like this. Therefore, you have a totally new question. Your rewritten question would be 83 divided into, I'm going to move it up a bit, 83 divided into 215.8. Once you have that, you just go back to example 1. Now it's only in the dividend, so you just move it up into the quotient and divide as usual. How many 83s can you get out of 2? Well, you can't get any. How many 83s can you get out of 21? Can't get any of those either. So how many 83s can you get out of 215? Closest number 2 would be 2. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 8 is 16. And you're going to subtract. 15 take away 6 is 9. 10 take away 6 is 4. You've already borrowed from there, so there's nothing there. Now, last thing you do is bring down the 8. Yeah. how many 83s in 498? 6 times 3 is 18, and that ends in an 8, so let's try it. 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 8 is 48, plus 1 is 49.
0.
So 83 into 215.8 is 2.6. That's example 2. We're going to take a look at example 3. Example 3. Get it up here on the overhead. Alright, this is when you have division using powers of 10. Alright, powers of 10, and those zeros can be very helpful. You don't need a calculator to do this. If you're paying attention, you can just move it, saves you a lot of time. So, you count the number of zeros in the divisor. This row here is your divisors. Alright, so we're going to divide by 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000. And I'm going to start with the same example I did with the when I multiplied 25.4. So 25.4 divide by 10, divide by 100, divide by 1,000, divide by 10,000, etc. Now, in this case, we're going to move the decimal in the answer to the left. Alright, when we multiplied, we moved it to the right. When we divide, okay, math, add is opposite to subtract, multiply is opposite to divide, and that's why the things change. Okay, when you move opposite, then you're moving to the opposite operation. So, we've got 25.4 divided by 10. If I move the decimal one place to the left, I'm going to get 2.54. Alright, I have 2 zeros and 100, so I'm going to move it 2 places to the left. So now I will have 0.254. Alright, 1,000, 3 zeros, so I'm going to end up doing it 3 shifts to the left. So I end up with 0.0254. So I should end up with 3 places. Alright, 10,000. Alright, if I'm going to have 25.4 divided by 10,000, alright, I'm going to move it 4 zeros, 4 places to the left. 0.2254. So, multiply, you're going to be shifting the decimal, multiplying by groups of 10, powers of 10, you're going to shift the decimal to the right. Opposite operation is division, so you're going to be shifting it opposite way to the left. And we'll have example 4. Where are we here? Example 4. When division is written as a fraction. So, 51.56 divided by 9. Just rewrite it. 9. Okay. In this case, you got divisor, dividend. So your dividend's here. 51.56. There's no decimal in my divisor, so no problem. Just put your decimal up into the quotient area and divide like usual. How many 9s can I get out of 5? None. How many 9s out of 51? So that would be 7, 6 would be 54, so 5 would be 45. Alright, so that would be 11 take away 5 is 6. I've already borrowed from there, so I can't do anything else. Next number down is 5. How many 9s can I get out of 65? Well, 9 times 6 is 54, 9 times 7 is 63, so let's go with 7. 63. 5 take away 3 is 2, 6 take away 6 is nothing, so bring down the next 6. How many 9s in 26? 3 would give me 27, so that's not going to work. It's going to have to be 2, which is 18. 16 take away 8 is 8. That leaves me all that's left. So I can add more zeros here. Bring down a 0. How many 9's in 80? Well, 9 times 9 is 81, so that's not going to work. It's going to have to be 9 times 8. 9 times 8 is 72. So I'm going to end up with an 8 again. All right, once you get that far, all right, I could add another 0, but I'm going to end up back in the same spot, right? Because I have 80 here, 8 is 72, so it just keeps going. So that is just going to be dot, dot, dot. Now, if we have 64.89 as your dividend and your divisor is 0.9 or 0.9, again, I'd rewrite it. Now, I wouldn't rewrite it looking as that. I'd convert it all in one, but you do what works for you. If you need to write it the old way and then convert it, do that. All right, so my divisor can't have a decimal in it, so I have to go with 9. My dividend, all right, I've already shifted here to get 9, so I have to shift here. Excuse me. So 6, 4, 8, decimal 9. Once you have the number, the decimal in the dividend only, then all you have to do is shift it up into your quotient and solve the question. So how many 9's in 6? Well, there isn't any. How many 9's in 64? That'd be 7, which is 63. Bring down the 8. How many 9's in 18? Well, that's 2. Okay. So there's 18. Take away 0. Bring down that 9. How many 9's in 9? 1. Alright, so there isn't a remainder.